This is the 7th video of the section, Drawing Polar Plots. In the previous video, we've seen how to fill an underplot area. In this video, you'll learn how to change the coordinate system used in the plot and to use the polar coordinate system instead. If the data is already represented using polar coordinates, we can display it using polar figures. Even if the data is not in polar coordinates, we should consider converting it to polar form and draw on polar plots. To decide whether we want to do this, we need to understand what the data represents and what we are hoping to display to the end user. Imagining what the user will read and decode from our figures usually leads us to the best visualizations. Polar plots are commonly used in display information that is radial in nature. For example, in sun path diagrams, we see the sky in radial projection and the radiation maps of antennas radiate differently at different angles. You can learn more about this at the link I'll show on the page. Here is a code that demonstrates how to plot polar bars. To display data in polar coordinates, we must have appropriate data values. In the polar coordinate system, a point is described with radius distance, usually denoted by r, and angle, usually theta. The angle can be in radians or degrees, but Matplotlib uses degrees. We also need to tell Matplotlib that we want axis in the polar coordinate system. This is done by providing the polar equals true argument to the add axis or add subplot functions. Here we've used the add axis function. First, we create a square figure and add the polar axis to it. The figure does not have to be square, but then our polar plot will be ellipsoidal. We then generate random values for a set of angles, theta, and a set of polar distances, radii. Since we have drawn bars, we also need a set of widths for each bar. So we also generate a set of widths. Matplotlib.axis.bar accepts an array of values, so we don't have to loop over this generated dataset. We just need to call the bar once with all the arguments passed to it. Here we are writing ax.bar instead of matplotlib.axis.bar. In order to make every bar easily distinguishable, we have to loop over each bar added to AX, axis, and customize its appearance, face color, and transparency. Here we're using barset face color function for face color and barset alpha function for transparency. Now I'll run the code. This is the output. You can see the radial polar plot. Looks good, right? So we successfully plotted polar plots in this video. Splendid. In the next video, we'll understand visualizing the file system tree using a polar bar.